We are back. Hello, lads. Hello, ladies. And welcome back to the channel. Cod's Vlogs is back with League One live streams. It has been a long, hard summer without no League One football, no drama, which has been good if you're a Fleetwood fan. Our season ended in March, but the League One campaign went until the end of May for ourselves. We've had a quick 6-week break, which has done us the world of good, and a lot has happened in those 6 weeks. We've got new boys in League One, new signings in League One. Everything looks different in League One, and I think next season's table will be very differently as well. And if you are new here, if you are a continuing subscriber, thank you for joining me. We will get on with the plan for League One Roundup because there are going to be a few changes this season, but one change we're not going to make is our co-host. After an impressive 18-month loan spell, we've got him in on a permanent deal, another one-year deal with an option of a further year after the way Lincoln have been signing players of quality, especially yesterday in signing Tyler Walker. He may not need his second year. He is here. He's got his own channel now. And Jake from Channel 92 in his full glory. How we doing, mate? Welcome back to the channel.
He's got it wrong. It's Channel 72, Ben. Never mind.
Channel 72.
We'll go again. No, we'll do it again, Ben. Do it again. Ready? Take me off.
He's got his own channel, Channel 72, discussing all the teams in the EFL. We'll talk about what's going on in your channel later on. But Jake, how's your summer been? Obviously, Lincoln season ended quite well. We discussed that. You finished above Fleetwood. We obviously saw and discussed that as well. But good summer.
Yeah, mate. Obviously, I turned 25 on Tuesday this week as well, which was good. Had a good birthday. I've been able to upgrade the system a little bit. I've bought a fancy new webcam that we've tried and doesn't bloody work. I've got some no lighting, but no. Good summer, mate. I'm going away this weekend as well, so looking forward to it. But yeah, good to be back, mate. Obviously, I think the hype of the Tyler Walker signing yesterday has got me right back in the mood for football, and ultimately I'm looking forward to getting to the tough sheet on the 5th of August and getting down and supporting the lads again. It'll be good.
Absolutely. It was all for me. I was loving my summer break. I uploaded a video. I normally have 6 weeks off YouTube at the end of the summer religiously, because it doesn't look hard, believe me, but it gets to you. All the traveling, all the videos you do, all the editing you do. Obviously had a little bit of help towards the playoffs, which was really good as well. And it was a phenomenal day seeing Sheffield Wednesday get promoted. Obviously, Jake can't wind them up for this forthcoming season, but we will be discussing those clubs who went up and go down in the regular episodes as well. But tonight, before we'll read your comments, we are just having a look at the signings that each club have made. Each team will be getting around about 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes each, and then we'll go into a 10-minute Q&A at the end to discuss all things Sky Bet League One. But going forward this season, Jake will be a regular. The shows will be on a Sunday evening at around 7 to 8 p.m. So keep your eyes peeled again for a regular start date. With that, we'll be discussing all things League One. There will hopefully be some midweek shows in there as well. We'll be getting guests on from the different clubs in League One as well. So again, lots of changes, lots of new stuff to enjoy. But again, still the same basis as last season as well. We'll put the text box under there as well. We'll see who's in tonight before we'll get on. What's your thoughts on Alpha May joining Charlton? We'll get on to that in a minute. A very good signing, I'm sure. Fleetwood signings again. We'll be getting on to them in a minute. Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back for another video on the channel. Luke knows. Did you do it as northern as me? I doubt it. Again, that is Jake's channel as well. So if you want to go and subscribe to it, again, I don't see why he can't go and get 1,000 subscribers in his first year of doing it. So again, go and subscribe to him. He's a good lad, and we'll be supporting him all the way. Good evening, Ben and chat. Hello, Nat. I hope you are well. Evening, everyone. Hello. We'll get on to Fleetwood in a minute because I've got a couple of little bit of doses of information on that course. As well, Luca Canal signed a 4-year deal at Barnsley today. Absolutely. Tyler Walker is the signing of the summer so far for me. Might be enough to keep the Imps in League One. Tony's back and annoying Jake. I'll send you your money in the post, Tony. Yeah, Fleetwood lost to Dundee. I am very aware. We lost to Heart as well on Tuesday, which wasn't A great one. Good evening, Ben and chat. But we will go in. There's no alphabetical order. We're going to start off with new boys, Carlisle United. Fleetwood play them on the opening day of the Sky Bet League One season. And very much looking forward to going to Brunton Park in a league fixture. Again, Carlisle United have signed well. What I like about what they've done, Jake, is the three of the signings they've made, they had on loan last season. And you know full well, we know full well, in kind of Fleetwood, when we've had loan players before, when your loan players go back, it's very hard to replace them as the quality they are. And to bring in Jack Robinson, to bring in Alfie McCallum, and to bring in Ben Barkley, who were crucial in their playoff display. It was actually Ben Barkley, who was on loan from Stockport, who scored, obviously, the winner against Bradford to take them to the final. Couldn't play in that playoff final because they were playing Stockport, but he signed permanently as well. They've also added a centre-half in Sam Lavelle, who was on loan at Burton at the end of the season. Didn't quite work out at Charlton over his 2 years there, but was a fantastic servant to Morecambe. Very good signing and a decent summer, although they've lost, Feeney to Shrewsbury.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing for Carlisle's point of view is that they've kept a lot of the group that have brought them up. They've got a lot of them. Those that were on loan, they've been able to retain them. And that's really important that you keep a good core group, together as you come up. We've seen it with the likes of Exeter. They've done the same thing and had a really progressive year last year. The season before, Cheltenham and Cambridge both kept the core of their sides together. And look what they achieved in those years. So look, I think if they had a bit more quality going forward, obviously they've lost the likes of Christian Dennis as well, who was a big part of their promotion. He's gone on over to Tranmere. So, yeah, I think it's been an impressive performance. Sam Lavelle, obviously, someone you've got quite close ties to, I think. But a really good, he's performed at this level for a couple of years now at Charlton. He was at Morecambe as well, did really well there. So, liking it so far. Obviously, you mentioned there Morgan Feeney is a big loss because he was a massive part of their promotion last season, and there's no doubt they will have to replace him. But I think Sam Lavelle will do a pretty good job of doing just that. So, be interesting. But yeah, like I say, down to Carlisle, it's a horrible away day, but I don't envy you on the opening day whatsoever.
It's horrible, but it is like Port Vale last year. Fleetwood played Port Vale on the opening day, lost the game 2-1, and you'll see 8,000 to 10,000 supporters in Brunton Park on the opening day. It's a tough place to go anyway. But first game to play a promoted side. I'm making the excuses already, aren't I? Call me Scott Brown. Cheltenham, again, a weird summer for them. We kind of knew that Alfie May would leave the football club, didn't we? And they got a fee for him. I think they would have only got an extra £200,000 if he left last season. 200k or stay in League One. I think you're staying in League One, aren't you? Because it's more profitable and it's better to be in League One as a football club than be in League Two, because it's really hard to get out of League Two, although 4 go up. I think they've replaced well. I like Street, who's come in. Look, he only scored 4 goals last year for Shrewsbury, but he did only start 24 times. And I know he had a lot going on in his personal life last year. He did score the winner later on in the season against Bristol Rovers, which I like as well. Luke Southwood returning again. These players that are on loan returning to football clubs. Normally, they're not quite as good when you sign them permanently. Because loan players, you just fall in love with them and then you sign them permanently. It's like you fall in love with a girl, you get married, it's never the same. And that's what signing a loan player permanently is.
What would you know about that?
Yes, he's back. Luke Southwood obviously re-signed, which is a fantastic deal, I think, for all parties. But Curtis Davis also has experience. I know he might be 38. He still started half of Derby's games last year, pretty much 22 starts. The error was his mistake on the last day of the season against Sheffield Wednesday, which obviously cost them a shot at promotion. Good summer, bad summer? Let me know.
Good for me. I think the big one is Luke Southwood. I mean, he was definitely, I think he was in the top 5 keepers in League One last season, without a shadow of a doubt, and he was fantastic in the way that he played for Cheltenham. Obviously, a lone player. Thank you very much, Dill. Nice to see you. Do not mention Regan Paul to me. You're dead. I think the most important signing that Cheltenham made, Ben, was 6 months ago when they brought Adam Keener into the building from Ireland. Alfie May is a massive loss, and we'll get on to why he's going to be good for Charlton in a couple of minutes, should I say? But but I think their replacement was in the building already. Keener's hit the ground running. He had a really good season in Ireland. Come over, he's done pretty well for them. And you complement it with the likes of Rob Street up front, play up front too. There'll be last year they lacked goals apart from Alfie May. I think they're going to share the goals around this time, and I think there'll be more goals from all over the pitch from Cheltenham.
I agree. Keener was absolutely fantastic. He always seemed to be on the score sheet towards the end of the season as well. And Cheltenham actually ended the season very well. And they weren't too far off where they were in the first year, considering Duff was labelled an absolute hero and Wade Elliott at times was labelled as an imbecile, which wasn't the absolute case. I think Wade Elliott did a very, very good job last year at Cheltenham. And I think sometimes fans have got to appreciate where they are as a football club. And sometimes a year like that was always going to happen. It was always going to happen that they drop off in the second year, but they were nowhere near relegation. So well done to Cheltenham for sorting that out. After a poor start, bear in mind as well. We're going to Stevenage next, another new boy that I've been very impressed with. They're just like in signing Thompsons, aren't they? Ben Thompson, Louis Thompson, Nathan Thompson. But you look at their business and it is top 10, top 12 League One business. Ben Thompson is a fantastic player. Look, since he was at Portsmouth, his career might have gone a bit on the downward spiral. At Millwall, struggled to get a game towards the end, went to Gillingham. Obviously, now he will get a game under Steve Evans. I'm pretty sure of that. As well, Nathan Thompson is a very good centre-back, in my opinion. Freeman is a good signing as well. Louis Thompson as well. Harry Anderson as well adds a lot of quality. Steve Evans knows his way around League One and more likely League Two to get out of it. But I'm looking at and I'm feeling impressed by Stevenage business as well. They've got a couple of deals. I think Forster-Kaski signed a new deal as well, didn't he? Again, like Carlisle, when you get promoted, you need to keep the core and then add to it and then get the players that maybe aren't strong enough off your wage budget so you can add. And also, there's a few loans to be used there as well because Premier League clubs will start releasing them. I know they've released a few, but we'll start releasing them soon as well because you're going through the bins, aren't you? These bins are good. These are like Waitrose and M&S bins. You're not exactly going around the bins around, B&M, are you?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Ari. Stevenage's business, I think, has been excellent. Like you say, they've been able to keep a lot of their players. I think they re-signed the goalkeeper, Ashby Hammond, who was there last year, who was a massive part of the success. Forster-Kaski, you mentioned, there's certainly a couple of players in the defence have been able to tie down to longer deals, which is important. And then they've gone and sprinkled the quality that you need. Like you mentioned, Ben Thompson. If it weren't for injuries, Ben Thompson would be nowhere near League One. He'd be playing in the Championship every week. Harry Anderson is a very good, adequate League One footballer. Really impressed with him. And then you have to bring in for Steve Evans. He's brought in Alex McDonald, who is someone that he's worked with before at Mansfield and at Gillingham. You have to have, when you're a newly promoted team, you have to have generals on the pitch that want to portray the manager's image. And I mean, no one wants to look like Steve Evans, bless them, do they? But Alex McDonald's know what Steve Evans' teams do and why they're so successful. So to bring someone that has played for the manager before, that's really important. And then Dan Butler is another really good signing. I wouldn't have been too disheartened if he had come up the road to Lincoln, but to a newly promoted team to get a hold of him, really good business. So really impressed with Stevenage. I agree. I think they'll be pushing. Stevenage at the minute are nowhere near my bottom four. Absolutely nowhere near it. And you think they're going to add, a couple of good quality loanees in there. You'd expect them to maybe be kicking around where we sort of were last year, 11th, 12th, 13th, kicking around there.
I could see them starting off very well as well, maybe tailing off a little bit. But again, it is a funny place, Stevenage, but, to kind of go and play your football, especially under Steve Evans. But I'm liking it. And like you say, Butler, 2 or 3 years ago, he scored an absolute pearler against Fleetwood in the season that got curtailed. That season, in my opinion, he was one of the, if not the best left back in League One. There was plenty of good ones, but he was very similar to Danny Andrew, who we had at Fleetwood, who's gone to Cambridge. Consistent, plays a lot of games, good left footed, good going forward. Maybe again sometimes gets found out defensively, but again he'll do well. We're going to Wigan.
Ben, was he better than Toffolo?
No, but he was one of.
Although Toffolo's in danger at the minute, innit? We probably shouldn't talk about him.
Exactly. Shut up. Wigan. Again, some good signings. You obviously brought in Smith, who's got experience in this level before. 75 League One appearances with Swindon, Doncaster, and Charlton. I like that as well. They just signed Sean Clare as well, who ex-Charlton. Maloney said it was his top target, which is always nice to hear when you're signing your top target. A bit later on than you might expect. Obviously, they signed Morrison on loan from Bayern Munich. Yes, you are hearing that correctly as well. And they've also signed Callum McManaman, 32 years of age. He only scored 3 in 33 for Tranmere last year. Maybe a bit of a sentimental signing, but Sean Maloney has played with him. And again, like you say with Steve Evans, you need players that you know what they're like. And also, this is a Wigan team that were dismantled last year, and they're kind of coming back together. They're 8 points adrift. An experienced head like Callum McManaman, who got the assist for Wigan in the FA Cup final, is going to be huge, I think.
Yeah, and I think you'll have to look at the players that Wigan have lost this summer that have been really influential to them at this level before. I mean, Tom Naylor has been really good at this level for a couple of years. Graham Shinney as well. Ryan Niambe is a big loss. And Max Power, who's played for clubs at the top end of this level, have also lost a certain Mr. Scully, which I will talk about later, I'm sure. But again, for the situation Wigan are in, you have to look at the business and go, that's pretty good. Sean Clare's experience at this level, which you think their team will need because they're going to have to blood in a lot of youngsters like they did during the COVID season. Johnny Smith's a good signing as well. I think obviously he's from that way, I believe, because he was at Oldham before he was at Burton. He scored a cracking goal against us on Boxing Day with his left foot. And then Smith, Morrison, two younger players, but players that they can go and make an impression on League One this year. I find it bizarre that there's a player on loan from Bayern Munich in League One, and of all places, he's gone to Wigan. He's gone from the heights of Munich culture to Wigan kebab. Bless him. What's he going to do?
He's gone from like one of those big sausages you get on like a stick to a pie in a barn.
Yeah, innit? You feel for him.
No, but no, again, it's going to be interesting with Wigan. I think you'll see them start. They've got a few tough games though, early on. I know they've got to go Derby early on. I know that. Couple of home games. I think they've got Northampton in there as well. I said I think they'll get to 0 points quite quickly. It's then after getting to 0, it's then building and looking at the table. I think for Wigan, it's going to be a very interesting season. At this moment in time, I think they stay up quite comfortably though. Lincoln City next. We'll go to your boys now. Now, before yesterday, I was saying Fleetwood's business was slightly above Lincoln's, in my opinion, for me. But you've just topped it. You've just doubled what we've done with the signing of Tyler Walker. Before we get to Tyler Walker, because I think the others deserve respect as well.
Yeah.
Hackett is a good signing. At Portsmouth, he was raw. I think at Lincoln, if he goes and plays 40, 45 games, his expectation at Portsmouth is to score 15 goals minimum. If he gets 8 to 10, Ben House gets 10 to 12 to 15, and then Tyler Walker gets 15 plus, you're all of a sudden then looking at you've got, maybe 40, 45 goals. And if you want to push for the top 6, if you can score, be good defensively, score 70 goals, all of a sudden then you're only needing another 25 goals. So all of a sudden, I think you've done very well. You've signed the lad Smith from Sutton, who's a good signing, and Jensen from Burnley as well. Very good window. I'm impressed.
Yeah, me too, massively so. And we've still got a lot to come, I think. You spoke about the loanees. Lincoln always rely on loanees. We've had loanees for years. So I'm expecting a bit of movement in there. Yes, Jack, up the inch. Absolutely right, son. Just to go through it, Ali Smith, cycle of football, really. We lose our best player. We then go and poach Sutton United's best player from the division below. Really good dynamic box-to-box midfielder who I think is going to sit really nicely next to Ethan Errahan, who hit the ground running in January. Rico Hackett, I spoke to Tom plenty of times. Tom says he's a very good player, just maybe a little bit inconsistent and didn't find the right fit at Pompey. I think he's going to have a position that he's going to play in every week at Lincoln. Off the right, I think he's going to be really good there. Lucas Jensen, spoke to Accrington fans. They were really impressed with him. I know I think he kept like 12 clean sheets in 30 games for Accrington last year, who conceded about 80 goals. That's pretty good going. He's 6'6", so intrigued by him. Jaden Brown as well. Obviously, he had a really good part to play for Wednesday towards the back end of the season. I know Wednesday fans really love him, and Cornell's already had a retweet off him, which is really interesting as well. But And then look, Tyler Walker's the big one. I'm not going to deny it. Tyler Walker, last time he was with us, scored 16 goals by Christmas, and everyone fell in love with him. And then for the last 3 years, we've been praying that Tyler Walker is going to come in, and we've signed him on a permanent contract. Really excited because you've got Ben House and Tyler Walker up front. Really good options. And you look, Ben, over the age of our signings. Tyler Walker, 26, Jayden Brown, 24, Smith, 24, Jensen, 24, Hackett, 25. They're not even in their prime yet. They're still
Lincoln had
young.
a great age last year, didn't they, as well? When you look at the average age, it was one of the youngest in the league. I think it was the fifth youngest, wasn't it? March.
It was mental how young the team was last year. It looks like it's only going to get younger. So, look, positive starts. It's only a start. We need 3 or 4. We need to cover the loss of Regan Poole massively. Couple of midfielders, maybe another wide player, and I think we'll be good to go. But the signings that we brought in, Ben, make me believe that Mark Kennedy and Lincoln City are going for the top 6 this year.
I'll tell you something, and you'll probably remember this. We have a group chat, me, Tom, Wardy, and Jake, and we always look through a team list. Jake looked at Wednesdays and went, Jayden Brown, I'll have him, and straight away, who'd you go and sign? Jayden Brown. So do you know?
Brown on it. Get Brown
exactly. On it. And again, we'll answer this question quickly. Scott Brown, he did very well first year for Fleetwood. He did what was expected. Next year, I had a beer with him in Waterford last week. I told him what I expected, which is top 12. I think that, I think that will be the aim for next season, push on for top 10. As a guy, I think he's a top bloke. When you kind of get to speaking to him, and he's like an onion. You've got to kind of go through many layers. Better with me this time, believe me. Maybe not the first time, but the second time a lot better. But no, again, as a manager, he's done well, and we've not looked good in pre-season, which I don't really care. Pre-season, I've seen us lose all the games and have a good season. I've seen us win all the games and have a bad season. Pre-season does not matter. Some people in here need to understand that, Mr. Vloggers. Again, so a lot of love for Tyler Walker. We will come to them in a bit. We'll go on for Derby County now. Now, Derby, I've sorted their defence right out. Now, Paul Warne, you know what you're going to get. Clean sheets, hard work, graft, win a lot of games 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, tight fitty games, but get through. You're looking at it. You're signing Ward, you're signing Elder, 2 wing-backs, sorted. Curtis Nelson, signed. You're signing Bradley as well, signed. You've got Cashin in there. All of a sudden, with Josh Vickers, you've just have your back 6 where you got...
Ben, you've not even mentioned Kane Wilson.
Exactly. give me a chance. I'm trying to go through the others first, but... It's ridiculous the standard of players signing. They've signed Connor Washington up front, who is an unbelievable striker when he gets going. If he gets 1, he'll go and get you 10, 15 goals. I don't think he gets 20. I reckon he'll get, rough estimate, 14 to 16 area. I think they need another there. Losing McGoldrick, he's gone for the right reasons, and you cannot blame him. He's gone to beat his boyhood club. He's gone to obviously play every minute, and it's not money with him. So well done to David McGoldrick. Obviously, they're going to have to fill the void because he was more than just a goal scorer, wasn't he? In my eyes, anyway. I think Paul Warne, we said give him 18 months. Last season was a free year. I think this year, I can see them winning a lot of games 1-0, 2-1. I don't think they'll be good to watch. I'll be honest with you. I don't think they're going to play 70% football, high end, 20 shots a game. I think they're going to scrape through, but be good at home. Be horrible to play against, but nick a lot of games 1-0. And that is all you need. You've seen so many clubs do it. Rotherham used to do it, and under Paul Warne.
Yeah, and you asked me who I think is winning the transfer window, and if I'm honest, Ben, I know Pompey have brought in quality in quantity, but I think pound for pound, I don't think there's a better team having a window than Derby County at this minute in time. You look at the players they've brought in. Sonny Bradley's just been promoted to the Premier League with Luton. Josh Vickers been promoted at this level before with Rotherham. Joe Ward been promoted at this level before with Peterborough. You've got Callum Elder won the league with Hull City 2.5 years ago. And then you've got Curtis Nelson been playing above the Championship. Kane Wilson was the player of the year in the league below just the season before this one. And then you've got Connor Washington, who's bagged at this level before. So, yeah, I mean, the incomings are really good. I think Jason Knight going to Bristol City will hurt Derby a lot. Obviously, he's one of their own. He came through the youth academy. Really good lad, Jason. I've interviewed him a lot for when I worked for the academy at Derby. Really nice lad. Deserves his move up to the Championship, absolutely. But I think if you said to Derby, Jason Knight goes, you get £3.5 million, and then you go and put this out on the window, you go and do this. And they're not done because Derby still need to sign a couple of strikers, I think. I don't think Derby can go into the season with Collins as a starting striker.
Mendes Lang's all right, but he's not a striker.
Yeah, I don't see that. That's the biggest golfing quality from last season. The defenders have massively gone up. And what you've seen, the average age of arrivals, Ben, is about 26 years old. They're trying to increase the age of that squad, like Wednesday did last year, and that gave Wednesday promotion. So you think a bit more experience, a bit more know-how, and look, Derby for me at the minute are title favourites. I think the business that they've made absolutely signifies that.
Yeah, absolutely. Barnsley now. Again, I'm just going to go quickly through this because it's not good route. But we'll start off bad and we'll go to the good. They've lost Michael Duff. They lost Mads Anderson. Now, we said it all depending on that one game if they kept them and the stars that they had. And losing Mads Anderson is a big blow. Losing Duff is a big blow. Now, what's come out today is obviously this issue they've had with the league. And is it going to be a points deduction? Is it going to be a fine? I've heard different point deduction, potentially different types of fines. We will know soon. What is it with this division? You've got Wigan, you've got Reading, you've got now Barnsley, you've got Fleetwood, who obviously not Fleetwood issues, but chairman issues. So many issues in League One at the moment that will just make League One an absolute carnage next season. The good news is Luca Canella signed a 4-year deal, which is brilliant news because you thought maybe he would go to Swansea because Swansea have been signing well. They've just signed Jerry Yates for a big fee from League One club Blackpool. What do you think of Barnsley's window so far?
I'll tell you what I don't like, the kit. The kit's absolutely rancid. What do I think of Barnsley's window? Not bad. I mean, I think Lapata's all right. I think obviously he's at 21. Was at Woking, wasn't he? They were very good defensively last year. What I've noticed with Barnsley, I know they've not signed these players yet, but they've been linked with them. There's a lad, a centre half at Halifax they've been linked with. I think his name's like Debicera or something along those lines. He'll be a good find, I think. And then they've also been linked with Andy Dallas, who was at Solihull, who was on loan last year at Chesterfield, who scored a bucket full of goals for them. So, look, I think you've already mentioned, Ben, you've outlined that Barnsley's biggest losses have been Anderson and will be Michael Duff. I'm not so keen on what they've done at the minute. Tying Luke O'Connell down to a really long-term deal is a good thing. However, you have to think, is there a clause in there that means that if we get a certain amount of money, he can go? You'd be worried. And again, if you're a championship team that's got a couple of £1 million left over at the end of the window, you might go, you know, Luke O'Connell was pretty good in League One last year. Let's see if we can, take the step up. But I think Barnsley have a lot of work to do. I'm not a fan of the managerial appointment. He's come from Tampa Bay. He's brought John Stead with him. I'm not massive fans of it, but I'm here to be proved wrong. And Barnsley got to the playoff final last year, so they clearly know mugs. They know what they're doing. But I think they've got a lot of work to do.
And you all thought Ted Lasso finished in May. He's back for another season. Obviously, I was not who watched Ted Lasso, an American coach. I know he is Scottish, but he came over from an American league to coach over here. It's going to be very interesting at Barnsley. Barnsley will either finish 11th and have be nowhere near, or they'll finish 4th and win the playoffs. That you do not. Barnsley, honestly, will start off slow in a season you think done. Then, honestly, from about November to May, they always seem to in League One. I don't know if it's just me, just to be win. I think they won last season. I think they got 9 wins and a draw in 11 games. And they were playing some of the big boys like Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich in there. I mean, it was the loss as well, wasn't it? It's going to be interesting. Bolton, been a bit of an interesting summer for them. 15,000 season tickets, deserves to be mentioned. Well done to them. Priced brilliantly. That's how you do it. Chansiri. Just saying that what they've done is an absolute joke, but we don't need to talk about that because they're championship now for the time being. Joel Coleman has come in. Again, backup goalkeeper, you'd imagine. And then they've obviously signed Baxter, who obviously had 18 months, 2 years on loan at Hull. So again, Championship standard. Dan Alundu has signed a permanent deal. That's just a couple of their deals. What's been your thoughts? Obviously, losing Trafford and losing Bradley, they're always going to do, but they have replaced that, I believe, anyway. And Trafford, what a summer he's had, saving a penalty, winning them the under-21s. Well done. And if you're a manager of an under-23s academy, you're going to think, look what Trafford done. Look what Bradley's done. Who are we going to loan to? Are we going to trust Ian Evatt? Absolutely. It's the best place for him.
Yeah. And do you know what? The deal that I've been most impressed with, you didn't even mention Josh Dackers-Cogley from Tranmere, who's an athletic right wing back, by far too good for League Two, where he was playing last year. He's 27. He's in his prime. I think that will be a direct replacement for Conor Bradley. The good thing about Bolton is, Ben, and we've said this maybe for 18 months now, they've got the players in the building. They brought them in early. They recruited for this season, last season, in terms of they brought them in January. Think about it. Daniel Nundalu signed on loan in January, come on a permanent this summer, so he doesn't have to have the settling-in period because he's already done it for 6 months. I really like the pickup of Will Forrester. Had a really good year at Port Vale last year. Port Vale fans will be happy with that. Took him off the scum at Stoke and then sold him on for a big profit to Bolton. And like you say, Nathan Baxter, I believe he's been at this level before with Accrington and has performed really well. Look, Bolton didn't have a lot to do, really, if we think about it, in terms of progressing from last year. They lost Trafford and Bradley, but they've already replaced them. So anything that Bolton bring in over the next couple of weeks will be just the icing on the cake. And you mentioned about the Premier League loanees. Bolton, if you're a Northwestern Premier League club, you've got a player to loan. Ian Evatt's probably going to be a man to turn to develop him, because you look at what he's done for James Trafford, who's about to sign for Burnley for what, 20 million quid. Yeah. So, impressed, but they didn't need to do a lot.
No, exactly. Thank you so much for the donation, Alfie May, Sonny Bradley, and Ruben Rodriguez, the best three signings for me. Charlton fan and might be biased. Thank you very much for the donation. We'll come on to them very soon as well. Jake, do you want to go out the room for 2 minutes for the next one? We're going to come to Portsmouth Football Club. What a window they have had. They have signed Norris as a goalkeeper. Look, fantastic signing. He didn't have his greatest game in the playoff semi-final, second leg, but again, good signing. Sean Essie, again, solid signing. A bit like the Ben Hennigan signing for Sheffield Wednesday last year. Won't be amazing, but again, White from obviously, he played for Oxford. Very good player coming in from Cardiff. Again, you can go through it, who they've sent. Sayedi up front as a striker. We're going to come to the big ones now. Sparks has come in as well. Played 25 starts last year for Exeter. Scully has come in and, he is a wonderful player. Wasted his talent at Wigan. Absolutely fantastic player. Scored 25 and 85 for the Imps. And they've also brought in Regan Poole, who had offers from Championship clubs, but chose to go to Portsmouth. Can you blame him? It's an attractive deal. People may say, why is he staying in League One? He'll play every minute. He obviously won't be captain. Marlon Pack is captain. He'll confirm that. But he'll play every minute. He'll be a vital part of their team and a chance to be a hero and get them into the Championship. Very good window. I'm really impressed with them. But Portsmouth have added pressure on now. Messinio, these draws they had last year can't happen anymore. They've got to go out and win games of football. And they are, for me, with Derby, favourites now for that top two after this window.
Yeah, it pains me to say it, because obviously the players that they've brought in, especially a player that they've brought in, Pompey have had a fantastic window. I think they've assessed where they were weak last year and completely gone in and overhauled the squad. You're thinking about the front three. They were poor out wide last season. They had Rico Hackett, who wasn't great for Portsmouth. They've replaced Rico Hackett with Anthony Scully, who last time he was in League One, as Ben will remember, very early on in the 21-22 season, a fantastic inside forward. And you've got Scully on one side, and then you've got the young man Paddy Lane on the other. It's literally
all right. I was mentioning that one.
It's the stuff of our bloody nightmare. It's the stuff of nightmares. But they've also had a Gavin White who, let's not forget, a couple of years ago was banging them in for Oxford and a massive move to Cardiff. Christian Sadie didn't really hit the ground running at Shrewsbury last year, but has all the physical attributes and at 21
Yeah.
to have a good season. But obviously, the star signing, and I will throw this out there as the best signing in League One so far this summer is Regan Poole. I will have no. You can't. I don't think anyone can deny it. Regan Poole over the last 2 years has been arguably the best centre back in the division. Everyone was expecting him to go up to the Championship. I think, to my knowledge, he had a deal with a Championship club sorted until the manager got sacked. Well, that's not obvious who that is it? And then obviously his agent's done well for him to get a move to Pompey. Look, Regan Poole is a great bloke, great footballer. Pompey fans will love him. He's a captain without the armband, and will continue to be the best centre half at this level. So, yeah, happy for Tom that they've got a load of good players in. Disappointed in Regan that he's not gone higher because he probably deserved it.
Absolutely. We'll rattle through these teams now. Peterborough, obviously, they've lost Norburn. They're probably going to lose Johnson Clark-Harris. I think they'll lose him later on in the window. I think he'll play a few games with Peterborough, but I'd be very surprised if he's still there come the end of the window, unless he signs a new deal. Obviously, they brought in Collins from Exeter. Obviously, they've lost a number of players. The big one, obviously, going to Ipswich, it's always going to be, a big loss losing Jack Taylor. For me, I said it 18 months ago, the lad is Premier League ready. I think he's talented on the ball. They've got themselves an absolute bargain there. Peterborough, they've got a fee in. I do think they'll bring players in. And they bring that De Havilland. I don't know if I pronounced that well. From Barnet, who it looks like a Jack Taylor replacement. He also came from Barnet as well. Again, just looks very, very good. And Peterborough always do the same type of recruitment.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it, how good Peterborough's recruitment tends to be. Critchlow, great year for Bradford last year. Shimanga, again, like in London, who's been in the building, probably didn't hit the ground running last season, but came on in the playoff semi-final against Wednesday. It was decent, I thought, and took a real pressure penalty and stuck it away. And De Havilland and Collins, De Havilland is the most posh signing I think you'll ever see from non-league. Direct replacement, exactly the same as Jack Taylor, and then Archie Collins was great for Exeter last year, and everyone was thinking he was going to move up to the Championship. So I can imagine Exeter fans are a little bit disappointed. Yeah,
absolutely. Reading, Sellers as manager, obviously Southampton gaffer for a bit last year, winding up petition. It goes on the circus at Reading. All these issues are having. Tom Ince left the football club for £50,000. He's gone to Watford. He always seemed to score against Watford, no matter what club he was at. All that bad stuff are happening. You don't know what's going to happen with Reading because they need to get their act in gear. One good thing is signing Harvey Nibbs, which is a fantastic signing. Big, powerful, tall, good on the ball, strong, athletic, long-term deal. Very, very good piece of business. One of the most underrated players in League One last season, Harvey Nibbs.
Yeah, and there was a lot of talk about him going up to the Championship with Argyle. I know we're interested in Huddersfield, but it's really good for Reading to be able to sign. I think it's that the close proximity to London that might have been able to sway the deal for him. But had a couple of really good years at Cambridge, one of their best performers last year as well, and definitely deserved to move up higher up the pyramid. You would say that going from Cambridge to Reading is a massive step up.
Absolutely. Blackpool as well, losing Jerry Yates. We all knew that was going to happen. They've got around about £2 to £2.5 million for that. Bear in mind, between £400,000 and £500,000 taken off that will go to Rotherham United. So they've probably got between 1.6 and 2 million, but they've also got Kyle Joseph in the door, who for me is a very good player, scored 10 goals last season. For Oxford, never really got going at Swansea. Did he get the opportunity? I don't think so. But the signings of Norburn is a fantastic signing. Pennington is an excellent signing from Shrewsbury. I think he won their Players Player or Player of the Year. I know he won an award. They've signed O'Donnell as a backup keeper to Dan Grimshaw, which is going to, again, you need these lads in your door that are good around the dressing room. They've got that. I think Blackpool have still got a lot of work to do. I think they're short in a number of areas, but they're getting closer. Norburn, for me, is in my top 10 best signings this summer because he was fantastic for Peterborough last year, breaks up play, and again, they seem to be turning into Shrewsbury a few years ago. Pennington, though, fantastic player. Wasn't so long ago he was playing for Everton.
Yeah, I think the Norburn deal's been a couple of years in the making from what I can gather. I think I believe he was at Macclesfield as well from that
Yes.
part of the world. So I know he's born in Bolton, so it'd be good for him to go home. And then Joseph, I think, is the exciting one. Was pretty good for Oxford last year. Did he score 10 goals? Maybe I want to say he scored a handful of goals in a really struggling Oxford side last year. So yeah, I think the main focus for Blackpool will be to spend that money on Jerry Yates and to spend it well, because obviously it's good having all the money in the world, but if you can't spend it well, then you're not going to get anywhere. But like I say, Blackpool need a bit of extra surgery to be League One ready in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Blackpool have done very well to get between £6 and £7 million for Josh Bowler and Jerry Yates with 1 year left of the contract. So again, well done to them for doing that. And if they want new stand, if they want a new training ground like they are building, and they're doing it very slowly, don't get me wrong, but they're doing it, and plans are in place, which have been needed for a long, long time. They've done very well to get that amount of money to reinvest in the football club. And Simon Sadler, as much as what you can say about him, he has done right by Blackpool so far. So I do think they'll get the players in. They brought in Neil Critchley back to the football club as well, which needs mentioning. I thought he was going to go back over to be Stephen Gerrard's assistant again and do it again, but no, he is loyal to the core for now. Again, it'd be interesting to see how he pans out at the Seasiders. We'll go on to Charlton now. They've signed Alfie May, who, again, wow, what a man. 43 goals in 85 games, just under a goal, just over a goal in every 2 games as well. 0.58 goals, 0.58 goals or assists in a game last season as well. He gets goals, he gets assists, he runs them behind. And then I think as well, Miles Leaburn will have a fantastic season this year as well, Jay. He scored 12 times last year. He actually only started 18 times for Charlton last year, but still scored 12 times. And he seemed to just get better and better as the season went on. And they seem to be literally packing up, their team as well. And there's so many more you could name. But Alfie May, what a signing. A takeover potentially happening as well. Dean Holden signed a new long-term deal not long after being there in March, April time as well. So things look good for them. I said 12 months ago they were nowhere near playoff ready. We were right. I think this season, they'll be in the top 8, top 9 at this moment in time.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the window, to be fair. You look at the three signings that they've made. Lloyd Jones is a cracking signing. They needed a defender since Owen O'Connell had gone to Wrexham. Harry Eisted, fantastic signing for Charlton. I think that is maybe as good a signing as Alfie May. Yes, Alfie May scored a lot of goals, but Harry Eisted was fantastic in that playoff final for Barnsley and had a really good season on loan from Luton. And then Alfie May, what more can be said? A goal scorer, Charlton needed a goal scorer. I think him and Leaburn, like you say, Ben, will partner up really well up front. It's the little and large combination that did Pompey so well in the Premier League with Crouch and Defoe. I like Charlton's recruitment. I think they need more. I think they need a couple of more. I think obviously they lost Alex Gilby and Alex Morgan in midfield. They might need a bit of surgery in there, but for the most part, 3 for 3 is pretty good. But it's when they start adding a couple more loanees, maybe try and get another Rak-Saki if they can try and find something with that ilk. They'd be cooking.
Absolutely. I just think they're ready to go now, aren't they? They're not far off at all. Oxford, I think they've had a great window. Everything will be said about Ruben Rodriguez. It's a very good signing. And talent-wise, it is their best signing. But for me, my favourite signing of them is Jordan Thornley. He is a Championship defender, top-end League One defender. He was excellent for Oxford. He was excellent for Blackpool last year. One of Blackpool's better performers in there coming down. And it is a fantastic signing to sign someone that will play 40 to 45 games and be a consistent 7 or 8 out of 10 every week as well. I think it's a fantastic signing. Harris as well, I like as well. Striker from Cardiff. He only scored a few goals last year, but was used as a squad rotation player. I like that as well. Beadle they've signed as well. Stevens. Ruben Rodriguez, though, is a star name. It was I think it was the first one, wasn't it? McKetchian as well's coming through the door. So they've done very well. Manning, it was just about getting him over the line last year, wasn't it? About getting him, putting a plaster on it and keeping him up. Now their 2 to 3 year plan can go. I don't see him being too far off the playoffs. I'm looking at it, I'm seeing who will finish above Oxford now rather than who finishes below them.
Yeah, and they've had a really good start to the window. Ruben Rodriguez was the player that I think every club in in League One would have fallen over to try and bring in, and Oxford were the lucky club to do so. For me, though, Ben, the big, the really good signing for me, and probably the most intelligent one, is James Beadle. You look at goalkeepers, and we've had this discussion. I've had this discussion several times with our director of football, Jez George, about the quality of goalkeeper you can get on loan. You look at clubs who did it last year, Rushworth, Trafford in this day. We've had Alex Palmer, Josh Griffiths on loan before. The quality of goalkeeper in the loan market is by far better than perhaps in the permanent market. And Beadle's coming off a really good season with Crewe in League Two. Played really well for them. Natural progression for him. 18 years old as well. Massive move for him. But yeah, impressed with Oxford. I imagine, and Wardy will hopefully be watching. But really impressed with the start. I think like a couple more clubs, maybe one or two needed still, but it's going to be interesting to see how Oxford get on, because I quite enjoyed all the Wardy meltdowns that we saw last year, but I don't think we're going to have so many of them this year, which will be disappointing.
I know. I think his camera flooded last year. I'm surprised he not had to buy a new one because he got water damage. Thank you so much to Joe Evans for the £4.99 donation. All the donations do go back to supporting the channel. Thank you very much. Again, we'll rattle off these next few clubs and get into a Q&A as well. Wycombe have signed Cian Brecken. Very good signing. They seemed to wait a while, but now they've brought a lot in. Luke Leahy, fantastic signing. Scored 21 times in 101 appearances for Shrewsbury. Someone that maybe I'm worried for will come to in just a few minutes as well. Harry Boyce, someone you know very well as well, has signed. Again, made 18 appearances from January onwards for you last year. Good couple of weeks for Wycombe. Matt Bloomfield seems to be getting his squad together. They seem to be bringing players in on loan, which is always good. They brought Richard Keogh in for some experience, who seemed to be at Derby for a while. And then since then, he's been at MK Dons, Blackpool, Huddersfield, Ipswich. Now Wycombe, I think, 5 clubs in 2 seasons. But again, a good window, especially Brecken, who's just been allocated the number 8 role, a running 8, as he's been announced as.
Yeah, and I know someone that watches the City Academy groups on a regular basis, and he was by far the standout in his team. Last season as well was fantastic for them. Dynamic midfielder who has a shot on him. A little bit, if you can remember Ben Lewis Fiorini, who ended up at Lincoln and was at Blackpool last season as well. But yeah, Harry Boyce will be a very good wing back. You think of Wycombe this year trying to change their identity. They're trying to become a passive and a more progressive team. Luke Leahy and Harry Boyce allow them to do that. They're good footballers with the ball at their feet, and that's how they play. So for me, really impressed. A little bit of work still to do, but you always back Wycombe in the market with some clever signings out of the non-league, maybe the lower league. So, yeah, obviously it's all coming a bit of a flurry this week, hasn't it? But interested to see how they are on day one.
A typical Joey Barton signing, giving players an opportunity. Might be suspect, but we'll come to that in a minute. George Friend, good signing experience. Obviously brought Wilson in at centre-back. I like that addition. I like the addition of Luke Thomas. I still think that he was one of Barnsley's better players at the start of the year, and obviously injury killed him, unfortunately. But they brought in Giovanni Brown, who got 12 goals in 27. He has admitted to some of these things, so that's the start. Controversial, put it that way, but Giovanni Brown is signed for the gas. Good player, out football, let's be honest, but I don't know where to say this without being... Yeah, I'll let you carry on. Good luck.
Yeah, you got to be careful, haven't you? Giovanni Brown, when he's fit and firing in League One, is a very good footballer. However, when you sign Giovanni Brown, you sign the baggage that comes around it, and you have to be very careful with. I'm fortunate that I'm quite close to the girls at Bristol Rovers, Kaz and Lucy, who are big on the her game too. Stop making that face. Just because I mentioned a female's name, you've got a bit of a rush of blood to a certain area, haven't you, Ben? They are just, I think they were as happy as they were to sign a player of Giovanni Brown's quality. Signing the backstory is a bit of a problem for them. Look, I think the signing for them is James Wilson, actually. Big part of Plymouth. They were rubbish at the back last year, let's be honest. But I think that... I think Rovers' window is going to be made or break if they can keep a hold of Collins or not. if they lose Collins, they might make a load of money on him. But then they just announced Kane Vincent. That's a cracking signing.
2 or 3 years ago, he was one of Ipswich's best players. Wycombe, they were working on a lot, but wow, what a signing! Thank you for that, by the way.
You think about it. That's their wing back. That's their wing backs, isn't it? Boys and Cambridge. That's a good set of wing backs.
Absolutely, just in front. It looks like they're probably going to play a 3-5-2, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Potentially, you don't know.
Right, we're going to move on from Bristol Rovers.
We'll go to Exeter again. Just quickly, they signed Aitchkinson. Obviously, as we know, can play at this level before. I think he's a good player. Harper's come in. They've kept the squad. They've lost Josh Key, who is a big loss. Obviously, gone to Swansea. They've lost Giovanni Brown. They've kept Nombe, which is a very, very good bit of business. I think Exeter next season, you might see a drop-off, but I could see them replacing. I think they've had an okay window, but I don't know. I think they could be in trouble, maybe bottom 6, bottom 8 next year, because they didn't end last season too well. I know they were playing better sides, but I think, what was it? They lost 7 out of the last. They lost 7 on the spin before drawing to Morecambe, or beating Morecambe. They beat Morecambe in the end, didn't they? Before beating Morecambe. It'd be interesting to see.
Mate, get to know Vincent Harper from Eastleigh, wing back on the left-hand side. I think he's going to take League One by storm. 22-year-old, like I say, left wing back. I think he's going to be brilliant for them. Really good business. Was by far the best left wing back in the National League last season and deserved a move up to the EFL. But yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't see a drop off from Exeter. I think it's, we say it in the Premier League, when all these clubs come up, they stay up the first year. The second year is harder to stay up because everyone knows what you're about. Your budgets get a little bit smaller because you've outspent to stay up the year before. It's going to be difficult for Exeter, and until they bring in a couple of statement players, they've lost obviously Stansfield as well. That's going to be massive, and it's going to be interesting to see where Exeter go from here, I
think. Shrewsbury next. A week ago, 10 days ago, I was very worried for them because they've lost a lot of crucial players. But they've replaced very well. Parker from Huddersfield, Winchester from Sunderland, I like a lot. Feeney, Tunis Solowab, I can't pronounce his name. Although, by the way, he played for Fleetwood 5 days ago in Watford on trial, and he's gone and said we were never going to sign him. We were short of players. He was in a Fleetwood shirt 5. I should know his name, but he was on trial at Fleetwood 5 days ago, and he's gone and signed for Shrewsbury, so he's a rival now. He actually did quite well as well. Played a decent game. Elliot Thorne, like a lot as well. Matty Taylor's coming as manager. The one who used to be at Walsall, not the one at Oxford, by the way, just to kind of get that one clear. Where's your thoughts on Shrewsbury this year? Because they've signed well. I think they're weaker, quite significantly weaker. Actually, looking at it, losing the manager was always going to be a blow. And I was speaking to Josh Vella about this a couple of weeks ago, and he went, "Yeah, they will struggle next year because of the loss of Cottrell, because he was a good manager." What are your thoughts?
I think that Shrewsbury have done all the positive impact for themselves off the pitch, and they've taken a bit of a hit on the pitch. Obviously, they've brought in Mickey Moore from Cheltenham as a director of football. They've sorted the recruitment team out, and I think that will benefit Shrewsbury in the long run. However, I'm just not inspired by the players coming in at this minute in time. I'm looking at it now. Michael Parker, an 18-year-old centre-back, Winchester, getting on, maybe will be good for Shrewsbury perhaps, but if they have ambitions of being that team that break out the middle pack to go towards the top 6, the signings that they're making they're not jumping out to me as we're going to be that team that's going to go and shake up the top end of the league. So look, I think losing Cottrell was massive for them, and then I don't think Matty Taylor will replace him at all. I think Matty Taylor could well be one of the first managers that we see sacked, and I wouldn't be surprised. But interesting. It's not jumping out at me, Ben.
18 teams done, 6 to go. We will go to Port Vale next. 2 weeks ago, I was slagging off at the Hills, saying they're going to get relegated and they're the worst team in League One. I don't think that at all next now, because I did title that video very early. Since that, signing Mitch Clark, who got 6 assists for Accrington Stanley last year. Luke Water as a number 2 goalkeeper, is a cracking number 2. I saw him at Fleetwood. Connor Ripley, I think, would have been on a lot of teams' list for a goalkeeper. He was very good for Oldham, very good at Morecambe. And if he can find a home again, it's a very good signing. And that's without mentioning Conor Grant, who is a fantastic player. I think if you asked everyone who finished between the areas of 9th and 19th last year in League One, I reckon at least 75-80% take Conor Grant. I wanted him really. I probably wanted him more than Danny Mayer. If I'm honest with you, but Conor Grant is a fantastic player. They've kept Ellis Harrison, which is very good as well. Again, the manager issues, I'm still not convinced, if I'm honest with you, but I do think they'll be okay next season. And if they can get off to a good start, that will help, because that's what helped them last year. I don't think they lost 2 in a row up until January last year. Obviously, then it kind of fell off the hill a little bit, but they were still very solid all season.
Yeah. Difficult report, but I really like Conor Ripley and I really like Conor Grant. But that's where my enthusiasm around Port Vale sort of dies down a bit. I think Chislett had a good year at Wimbledon. Is he ready to make the step up? I'd argue maybe not. Jason Lowe, again, didn't really tear up any trees at Salford. Mitch Clark, obviously, they know before they'll be able to mould him. Look, Weiler, obviously, well, again, doesn't stand out as a good signing that's going to, provide a lot of good depth. I'm really intrigued to see what this lad is from Ross County. I can't. Iacovoti, is it? Iacoviti, something like that.
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
I leave all the difficult names out, and people will think he's not mentioned him. If they got a difficult name, I won't say that. I say they signed Sang.
Look, the manager thing has put me off Port Vale at the moment. Obviously, Darryl Clark was a massive asset to that football club, and I understand what they've done. They've brought in the next, they've tried to bring a bit of continuity to the group. But I again, like Shrewsbury, I don't know if I can get behind it. I'm not a massive fan of it at the moment, but still got a bit of time to change it.
Absolutely. We'll go to Leyton Orient next. I'm trying to put up Fleetwood for the time being. We've got. I really look losing the goalkeeper, losing the striker.
Yeah,
big blows. We all know that Vigouroux going, Smith going. Big blows. Ethan Galbraith though is a fantastic player, centre midfielder. I watched Salford a lot last season. I went to a lot of the games that I didn't even video, and I really enjoyed watching them. And Ethan Galbraith was one of the best players Salford City had. And I was watching him at Stockport in the second leg, and he ran the show. Very, very good player. Mancunian as well, as Richie Wellens. Keeping him is a big player as well. Again, I like the deal. Like Dan Hadji's gone.
Dan Hadji, yeah.
Again, he's been a bit up and down in his career. Obviously, had a spell at Crewe as well. Didn't materialise the way he'd like, but I think he's been at Blackpool as well, Dan Hadji. He's been a lot of places on loan. Hopefully now he can get the ground up and running. I think Orient are a settled team. I think they're good enough going forward. And they were the type of team that last year they didn't really stand out in a team of the season sense, but they had a lot of 7s and 8s out of 10. And sometimes, plain and simple, you can kind of make the step up to League One and finish mid-table a little bit. I think they've done okay.
Yeah, I like it. They've only brought in one player over the age of 24, sorry, I should say. I think Idris El Mazouni from Ipswich is massive. Obviously, he was on loan there last year. To be able to keep him is massive. He was great for them. Sol Bryn, again, he's someone that I certainly had in a plan for Lincoln to look at signing, given the fact that he was one of the highest performing goalkeepers in the league below last year at Swindon. Really good signing. And the one that you've obviously spoken about, Ethan Galbraith, but the one that I know probably the best out of all this lot, Max Sanders, who had a spell at Lincoln. Flattered to deceive, I think, Max. But I think under Richie Wellens, where maybe the build-up, the style of play is maybe a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, I think he might suit the system. And, I think the second he got on the train and don't race, you dare. You bloody dare. Look, Max Sanders was homesick when it came to Lincoln from being from Brighton. And I think a move to Leyton Orient, obviously at London, will be. I think you'll see the best of Max Sanders next season.
similar to Northampton, didn't really need to do much. I think they'll add a few more. I think they will have to. Bowie re-signed as well. I think they bought Burton from Barrow, who's been there for 3 or 4 years.
One of ours, mate. He came through our academy.
I know. I think he's played 170 odd times for Barrow, which is again good. You know, Bowie scored 5 and 40 last year, but again, John Brady did a good job last year to reevaluate the spirits and make sure they go up, because the way they lost out in the last couple of years have been heartbreaking.
Yeah, they're keeping it together. And I like Northampton. I think in previous years, Northampton have come up just to make the numbers, but I don't think they'll be looking to do that this year. They've got a really consistent squad. I think in many ways their promotion last year was more impressive than anybody else's, because you look at what they did the year before. They were so close, and it is so difficult to be one step away to then go and lose it at the last hurdle, and then go and repeat it and actually do what you set out. Because you look at Carlisle, Stevenage and Leyton Orient finished down the table quite significantly before they got promoted. So Northampton, for me, I like the look of it. I think they probably need another 5 or 6 before we can start talking about them as definites in the division for 24-25, if that's the next year. I think it is, yeah. But I like it. Patrick Ruff's a nice lad, obviously from Lincoln, so intrigued to see how he gets on at this level as well. Absolutely.
We'll go to Cambridge now. Danny Andrew coming in. I know a lot about, left-footed, closer to home. He's actually from your way, neck of the woods. They've just signed Jordan Cousins today, again an experienced player as well. They signed Stevens early in the window, as well as Gaston Ademi, who again only really seemed to hit it at Burton, didn't really hit it towards the end of the season. A weird signing from it. I think they just signed him just to add a bit of extra jazz to the squad, really. But I think that's a very good window. I know they lost Smith and they've lost Nibs, which are big losses, but I think they need a couple more. But they brought in some, instead of buying a load of crap, they brought in some decent players there that will make the squad better, and they're going to go straight into the team. I think all 4 of them will probably more than likely start for them.
Yeah, but you look at Cambridge, you think about the losses that they've had as well. So I'm talking there about Joe Ironside was a big part for them last year. I know he maybe wasn't the highest of quality, but was a massive part in the way that Cambridge played. Lloyd Jones, obviously moving up to Charlton, that's a really big loss. And then you've got Dimi Mitov in goal, who a couple of years ago, it was maybe last season when they beat Newcastle in the cup, and he was man of the match up there. And then I think the obvious one, you've mentioned Harvey Nibs already. We haven't mentioned Sam Smith. Really intrigued to see where he goes this summer. I don't think Gaston Hadme is going to do as good a job for Cambridge as Sam Smith done. So interesting to see how they get on. But I agree, all 4 of them probably go into the starting 11, and it'll be interesting to see what goes on at Cambridge this year.
Burton, I think, have had a very good summer. I think one of the best summers in the league. They did very well last year. Dino Mamria did a very good job last year, and probably in the top 5 for managers of the year in my eyes. Obviously, you've got to give the 3 that got there. Duff as well deserves a lot of credit. So many other managers, but they've had a very good summer. Raheem Harper, very good player. Crocombe, Jamel Blackman, Gordon from Barrow, very good player. Bennett from Millwall, excellent player. Cole Stockton, again, you thought we forgot. Again, he had a fantastic end to the season. I think he's got a 2-year deal in League One. I think he'll go and smash it again. He's only really ever been good at Morecambe. Looking at the stats, we need to put that to bed. But given the right service, he will score goals. And they've had a very good window. I'm very impressed with Burton, and there's no reason why they can't go on if they start well and finish in the top 10.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Burton will be near the bottom 4 this year like they have been previously. I know last couple of years they've been hovering around the bottom 4 or very deeply in the bottom 4, and then have had to change managers to try and reinvigorate the squad. And I think you look at the quality of players they're bringing in now. You've got to add this to the likes of Helm that they brought in last year, and they've got Taylor still, haven't they, kicking about. I think Mason Bennett's a cracking sign. I think he's done bits for Millwall over the last couple of years, but the one you didn't mention, Josh Gordon, actually had a really good campaign at Barrow up the road, not too far from you, Ben. But Cole Stockton is the headline signing. I think he likes being a big fish in a small pond. That's why he went to Burton, and fair play to him if he's going to get the service there. Then they're looking to be a bit more creative this year, and excited for Burton fans, I think.
Absolutely. And finally, Fleetwood, and we will
Not done anything, have you?
We'll come on to a Q&A, so get your questions in. We will come to the chat. If I have missed it, I will try my best to come back. Fleetwood, we've, again, a little bit like Leyton Orient, Cambridge, Port Vale, Northampton. The bits we've done, these players are going to go into our first team. And people will be going, we've not really signed many, but I don't think we needed a big window like last year. Last year, we needed a big clear out start again. I said we probably need 8 or 9. I think we brought 4 or 5 decent players in so far. Broom, I think that there's potential there. I think he can play in multiple different positions. He's been covering at right back due to Sean Rooney being injured. He's not a right back, I can tell you that now. I didn't think Rooney was a right back. I don't think Broom is either. We brought in Montgomery on loan from Celtic, which I'm excited about. He played for St Johnstone last season as well. Graydon as well, Derry City, an undisclosed fee. Business as usual. I'm not going to say who that's aimed at, but doesn't need to know. Danny Mayer is, in my eyes, one of the best signings in League One. Plymouth love and adore him. He's a very good player, but I've heard all this before about players who've come to Fleetwood that teams love and adore him. They're the best player since sliced bread, and I need to see it. But I've seen it plenty of times for Plymouth. He is a fantastic player. 32, wants to move back home, 2-year deal, good training ground. The elephant is in the room is that Fleetwood's chairman obviously got a significant length of time in prison. I'm not going to comment too deeply on that, if I'm honest with you. Actually, I'm not going to comment at all on that because there's no need to. It's happened. It's gone. Fleetwood Town existed before. Fleetwood Town will exist after. It's as simple as that. And it's going to be an interesting summer. Scott Brown did a good job last year. Impressed with that. And I think this year there's pressure on him. He's just signed a new deal, which I'm impressed about. He had 1 year left. He's now got 2 years left. Deserved it for last year as well. But this year we must do better.
Yeah. You've said it, Ben, and you have to try and it'd be difficult for the playing squad to try and not think about the ongoings off the pitch, because that's going to be difficult with the chairman. Obviously, Fleetwood owe quite a lot to Andy Pilley for what he did for the football club and bringing you into the Football League from where you were, right in the depths of non-league, I believe you were, Ben. But yeah, I think the window has been good. Danny Mayer, Ryan Broom, standard League One players, I think. Danny Mayer is an exceptional player. I remember he was at Bury the season we won the league, and he was at Bury, and he was an absolute pain in the backside for us. He was fantastic. And I don't know, I can't say I know a lot about this lad from Derry and the lad from Celtic, so interesting to see how they get on. But I expect you to bring in a couple more before you head off to Carlisle.
Absolutely. But if you haven't already, please go and like this stream. That'd be massively appreciated. We're currently on 30 likes. If you could like, that'd be appreciated. We're 3 subscribers away from 11,200. So if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. We are back. Thank you to so many of you for coming in tonight. The show isn't over yet. We'll have another 5-minute Q&A at the end so we can relax and go through your questions. Obviously, we'll try and get through as many of them as we can. We're not going to try and give too many predictions away because they will be coming to the channel very, very soon. So please like, please subscribe. There's so much League One content coming your way this summer, as well as next season, because it's only 23 days away and we'll have a big start of the season launch in a couple of weeks' time here on Sunday the 30th of July. So join us for that at 8 o'clock. But this man has exciting news. Channel 72, big going places this year, isn't it, Jake? You're going to do a lot of stuff. Quickly go through where we can find it, and again, what the goals are for the season.
Yeah, so this is sort of the formal announcement, which I was planning on making on the 24th, Ben, but we'll do it now. It's a brand new channel covering the whole of the EFL, not just League One. So if you support a club that we don't talk about here on Nappers' channel, you'll be able to hear about them on my channel. Lots of EFL content coming soon. I've got my 1-to-24s coming out in a couple of weeks. But the main focus of the channel is going to be a live show on a Sunday, not to interrupt with Ben's show, obviously. A 6:06 style EFL only live football phone-in, which I'd really like you all to get involved with if it's possible. I know hopefully Ben's going to be involved, a couple of the other lads that we work with as well. Obviously, we've got lots of things coming up. I'm really excited that I can finally take on a channel of my own and benefit on the subscribers. So yeah, it'll be nice. Looking forward to it. And if you wouldn't mind, I have dropped the link in the chat. If you wouldn't mind going and subscribing, that would be great. We're starting from zero, so trying to get to as many subs as we can, really. But the support will be much appreciated. So I appreciate the opportunity to mention it, Ben. Thank you very much.
What date will you be wanting me to have on so I can know to put myself in for a day at work?
I'm not going to take that.
I'll be sick. No, obviously I can't wait to work with Jake. There was no doubt in my mind at the end of the season when we had a break there, I was going to try and tempt him back, lure him back. A couple of EKs, a couple of meal deals, and he was anyone. So Jake signed on in writing for the new season. Well, there'll be plenty of content, not just with Jake, with other League One creators as well. Wink, wink. You'll soon see something of that. So get your questions in as well for the next 5 minutes or so. Thoughts on Exeter's window so far? Pretty decent. We went through that a couple of minutes, about 10, 15 minutes ago if you want to go back, but pretty decent. Obviously, there's still work to be done, but I think not bad. Reading got so many issues to get. The RVs. I know Tony was saying they paid the tax bill before, but I still need to see a lot of new players. I don't think they're going to come in and walk the league. I think some people might think they are, but they'll find out very quickly, won't they?
Yeah, I think Reading are going to struggle, and not to say that they're to give away our 1 to 24s, but I don't think they're going to be slashing around the top 6 personally.
As a Charlton fan, I'd like to see you sign Kean Hayes. Very technical when I see him play. Look, the thing is with Kean, he's a very good player. He doesn't get the minutes to show his ability. He's not good enough in front of goal. He's not strong enough. And he's good. He's decent at taking on players, but on the technical side of the game, I don't think Scott Brown rates him enough. He's good in flashes, is Kean. I really like him. If you watch my vlogs regularly, I'm constantly urging for him to play more minutes. But unfortunately, I just don't think Scott Brown likes big players who get the ball, play it forward, play simple passes, block the ball, get the ball forward, quickly if they can, and try and be good defensively. And I don't think Kean is that type of game. I think he'd suit a lot of other teams in League One. I really do, because I think there's a decent player in there. I really do. Ben, you're lucky to have Mayer, top player on his day, plays like Grealish, doesn't really get many goals or assists. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many players like that. We spoke about Blackpool quite a while, about half an hour ago. If you want to watch it back as a video, I will be putting timestamps. I've missed these streams. Thank you very much, Sue. I've missed you, and I hope you're all well. And you soon have to put up with Jake, don't you, for the new season?
Grimsby away, Ben's the first one we're going to.
Again?
Grimsby away, we're taking...
Are you going to try and do every game again, Jake?
No, not this year. I'm going to be selective, I think. I'm going to hit the grounds that I need to tick off. There's not many.
That's what I was like last year. So I actually did every game last year. And then something happened in January and it kind of ruined it. But every game I could physically get to last year, I was at. So I'll take that.
Yeah. But yeah, Grimsby away on the 25th. We're taking Sophie and Sue and Jack as well, who's in the chat as well. Hey?
Do you want this?
Yeah, we're taking on a romantic day to Grimsby for some fish and chips with Jack and Sue.
So actually, that's a good question. We need to talk about this.
We do.
Have talked. We're going to do a deal. It's not going to be that. It's going to be sensible, but it's not going to be money because that is boring. It's not going to be. There'll be a forfeit that involves this. Because if I'm honest with you, I know Jake wanted top 10. Look, I never thought Fleetwood would get that. And bar top 10, what do you want? A little medal for that. I was only bothered towards the end of the season when we were winning because I think at one stage, it was 4 games, so we were 7 points above you. We conceded last minute to Exeter. You got a late goal. Then all of a sudden, you finished like 2 points above us. And it just blew my mind up. But no, it's going to be interesting. And we'll have a bet on. And we will let you know on the start lunch. We need to think about that. We'll be straight back to League One. We will be covering Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, we'll have a little bit of a look at them in the pre-season preview. Who do you think will be the first? Oh, good question. I
know mine. I think Matty Taylor's going to go first from Shrewsbury. Don't think it's a good fit at all.
I think you could see maybe Ruben Sellers leave Reading quite early. If that doesn't, if they keep going in trouble. I think potentially as well, maybe someone like a Wade Elliott. If they don't start well, I reckon their fans will really get on him. I don't think he's still that particularly well. I think they don't mind him. Potentially, I like your shout. Maybe a Gary Caldwell. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think we'll see half the team sack managers, or we'll see a change. Again, early shouts of Player of the Year, Manager of the Year. Oh, I can see big seasons coming up for a lot of players. I can see you're going through transfers here. I could see someone like a Scully getting 20 goals for Portsmouth. I really can. I can see Alfie May doing the same. When you're looking at Player of the Season, not the hard-working players get it. It's the ones who are fancy and score 20 goals. I could potentially see, Ruben Rodriguez going having a cracking season. There's so many. Alfie May, and I'll go for manager. I'll go for Paul Warren because I think they win promotion.
I'm going to sound biased here. I think Ethan Errahan is going to win Player of the Year. And I think Manager of the Year will be John Mousinho for getting Portsmouth promoted.
Yeah, you should start a podcast. I agree, Jake.
Ben. Before you get that's Jack. I'm
Jack.
Jake. That's Jack.
I hate you. I actually, you know something, right? People are asking me, "Have you enjoyed your break?" Yeah, from him. Right, every little mistake I make. Can I just say, by the way, you made multiple, but I don't pull you up on them. Before I said about Gordon from Barrow, and you have the go at me going, "You've not mentioned him." I did. Yeah. Anyway, just saying. I heard that Tiala is leaving. I think we'll see a lot of that. The window doesn't shut till September. How many points are Portsmouth going to win the league by? I'll do worry for Mousinho a little bit if they don't start off well. I reckon. How many points? Well, be serious here. One of the last questions. How many points do you think we'll win the? How many points do you think we'll need to win the league this year? Get top 2, get into the playoffs, and just above the bottom 4. So I'll probably go. I reckon 94, 95 to win the league. I reckon 90 to 91 to finish in second. I reckon to finish 6th, 78 to 80 area again. I think, what was it last year? Was it 81 last year? Something like that. And then just above, I think it was 45 last year. I reckon 47 next year, 48. I reckon you'll see a lot of teams between 47 and 54 points. I reckon there'll be a 6 to 17 relegation battle scrap all through next season.
I think the points totals are going to be a little bit lower this year. I think your standard is driven by the exceptional
team at the top and then higher everywhere else.
I think maybe to win the league, I think you're maybe looking at 93, 94. Top 2, I think you'd comfortably get in maybe with 87, maybe 88, and then playoffs. I think League One is a lot tighter this year than it was last year. And I think the teams I think a lot of teams are recruiting really well to try and push up and be that team to break into the top 6. So I think we could even be looking at a playoff team with maybe mid-70 points again. And then to stay up, I think you're always looking at 50 points as a minimum, but I think it will be even lower than that, maybe 46, 40, 45 maybe. It will be interesting.
Absolutely agree. And that concludes our first show back. It's so good to be back. Just waffling on about League One. Just go over our time. We said an hour. We always go over it because we just get carried away talking about League One, don't we? And it's so good to be back. We will be back on the 30th of July with Jake in Toll, which I can't wait for. Again, the big season preview where we will be going through these transfers, looking at the opening day of the season as well. And we'll be live every Sunday with a League One live stream. Jake, any final words, my friends?
No. All good, mate. If everyone could just come over to, obviously, Channel 72 and drop a sub, that would be massively appreciated. But it's been good, mate, to get back on and speak about League One again. It's it shows you how boring the summer is without football, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It's been a horrible summer, especially the last 2 or 3 weeks. I went to Watford with Fleetwood, if you didn't know, and that was a good few days away just to kind of watch them train and watch them play. But again, the vlogs will be back very soon with a couple of pre-season friendlies and into the real thing in 3 weeks. It will go quick. But thank you so much for your support so far. Again, thanks to those that are still watching. Until next time, I'll see you later. Please like the stream. Please subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated down below as well. Go and subscribe to Jake, channel 72 as well, which he's worked very hard on to get up and running, and he deserves all the help, support he can get. Until next time, I will see you later. I've been Cos Vlogs. He's been channel 72. I will see you later. Up the League One.